Be in the business of creating marketing that people thank you for, and be in the
Yes.
business of creating marketing that people ask you for. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Better Merch, Better Marketing podcast. Super excited to be joining you today. I am one of your hosts, Kirby Hasseman. Joining me as she does every single time, Jade Kreider. She's our branding bestie. Jade, how are you today?
I am so good. I know we say it every time, but the sun is shining. I took a lunch break and sat outside with my turtle and my dog, and I'm just a happy girl now.
Yeah, and again, the obviously the dog is something that you have talked about for a long time. Maverick is awesome, but now Portia has entered the chat, and so that's pretty fun. And I'm enjoying
Portia,
watching
my race car driver. She's really fast.
Yeah, she's really fast. The tortoise. But I'm enjoying the content you're creating around that. So that's really cool. Yeah, things are good here too. It's supposed to be raining all week, but it's kind of been off and on, not too bad. But man, we have been trying to keep our head above water this week. And again, I always say if I'm bored, I'm poor. So that's good. But man, it has been, I've ended each day wanting a cocktail. Let's just say it that way. And so that's cool. So things are good here. But hey, if you are new around here and you're hearing this for the first time, we are the Better Merch, Better Marketing podcast. Our goal is to help you elevate your branded merch game and your marketing game. And the podcast is brought to you by Hasseman Marketing. You can learn more about us at hassemanmarketing.com. If you head over there, you'll get all kinds of tools. There's tools for HR people, tools for marketing folks. Head over there and check it out. So let's dive into the topics today.
Let's do it.
The first topic you kind of brought up, and I'm going to do my best to set it up, and then you can add to it. So for those who don't know, I am located here in Coshocton, Ohio, the birthplace of promotional products. And Jade is currently in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And so obviously when you're going to the grocery store, one of the things that had occurred to you, and you've brought it up to me a couple times, is that plastic bags have been outlawed essentially in Colorado. And apparently there are 12 states that have statewide bans on plastic bags: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington. There will not be a test, but there's a bunch, right? And so one of the things that we kind of wanted to talk about is, whenever there's a change, there's an opportunity. And so I wanted you to kind of run with this now to kind of set this up about why you were thinking about this. And, because you're not seeing plastic bags there, right?
Yeah, so it was an interesting thing. I was candidly not thrilled. I was like, seriously, I have to take my own bag to the grocery store. It's really that big of a deal. They're saying, the studies show that it is making a really, really, really big impact on the states that have, and there's some cities outside of those states, just the cities themselves, that have also implemented this, apparently. I did not include those in the list because I felt like it would get really long.
But a really long list,
Yeah. I don't care. The only thing I will say that I notice is that I no longer have the big bags to pick up Maverick's poop in. That's what I notice. That's legitimately... Other than that, you just take your grocery cart to the car. Whatever. Anyways, so fair warning. If it spreads to Ohio, you really won't. It's not that big of a deal, I swear. But my thought was just kind of, I now just carry, my reusable tote bags just don't leave my car. They are with me all the time. And ironically, my friend, this is why this triggered this, my friend knows that my husband and I really like Panda Express. And they had Panda Express cater their school or the teachers or something the other day. And so she brought home a Panda Express bag and saved it for me. Because she's like, you like Panda Express, which is just hilarious. But now I am a walking Panda Express billboard. And so I just thought we could kind of talk about different ways that, even though this isn't maybe what everybody will love right away, it's not that big of a deal, and you can utilize it. And for your merch, it's actually great.
Yeah. And again, with any change comes opportunity, right? Because I think that if you can get something like a nice reusable tote bag in the hands of your branding ambassadors, or just your customers or the people who would be interested in it, all of a sudden, not only are they excited because they'll be using it and you'll be in front of them every time they go to the grocery store or wherever they go, but they also become a walking billboard for it too. So I kind of look at, okay, this becomes an opportunity for sort of placement marketing. And so whether that's a realtor, whether that's a pet store, whether that's a, you name
Whatever
it, right?
it is. Yeah.
It does present an opportunity that in those 12 states is a must do and are already happening. So probably there are businesses who are already doing it. But in the states where it's not been required, you have the opportunity to get ahead of it. That's the way I view it.
Well, and we do it at our with our office. We do it for our event that we do every year with the Customer Appreciation Show. And it's funny because we use it so that people can walk around and collect their goodies. But last year in particular, I remember multiple people being like, hey, if you have extra of those, let me know. Those are my favorite grocery totes. There's not enough of them. So they're literally asking to carry around stuff with our imprint on it. Like, that's a no-brainer. Bags are one of those that you don't think about. But then once you do them, people are like, hey, do you have any more of those tote bags? Like, people always want more kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
be in the business of creating marketing that people thank you for, and be in the business of creating marketing that people ask you for, because that's just not generally what happens. Right?
And it feels good too. Like, then when people are asking for our bags, there's a piece of you that's like, oh, cool, we invested our money in the right project. Yeah. Like, that was a good thing to put some money into. And so again, it's just getting used, and I don't feel like you ever throw away a tote bag. If anything, you maybe give it to somebody with stuff in it or something, but you don't ever throw that away.
Right.
Like,
whereas especially if they're done well,
you might throw away. But so I thought it was a little like I was out in the wild and I learned a lesson. So
well, and it's just, I like it when we can give just an opportunity. Take it or leave it, but it is an opportunity. So cool.
It's the thing I see coming. It's like a trend almost that's not in Ohio yet. It's in Colorado, but not in Ohio yet. Yeah. And I mean, shoot, you go to TJ Maxx, you have to pay for them. So
there you go.
Our next topic, also saw on Sunday while I was out doing kind of my reset grocery day. So Sunday was Mother's Day, as a lot of you might already be aware of. And so I saw 2 different marketing things that people did, a couple different companies did in the last week that I thought we could kind of do like a love this, take note, and don't do this, not great. So 7 Brew, if you don't know what 7 Brew is, it's a coffee chain, drive-through only, I believe. It's just another one of the coffee shops. They did a promotion where if you bought 2 medium or 2 large coffees, you could get a free coffee koozie. So it's like a specifically made for their cups or whatever, right? It wasn't, I think it said 7 Brew very small on the bottom. It was just like a very generic, like pink. I know for a fact you can get them for $3. I saw one at the dollar store the other day, but you got it free. My thought process was, at first I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, there was a line on the highway. Because, and I think that the reasoning behind this is they kind of went and they found what's their target market, right? Like, their target market is women in that, like, mid-age. That's what I'm going to call it, is the mid-age.
I like that.
It's a safe age, right?
I like when the young person's like, they're mid. They're not old.
Well, but they're my age, but they're also not like, you don't see a lot of grandmas hanging out for a koozie in the 7 Brew line. But maybe.
You were safe for a minute. Good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then they went to the one day where those people, so moms, get to pick what they get to do that day. So the husband has to sit in line for 2 hours because it's Mother's Day and he doesn't get to choose. So it's genius. And so they had it 2 coffees. So the koozies paid for themselves because you had to buy 2 coffees and not just one for mom. It was genius.
Right.
I thought, I don't know if you want to add anything, but I thought that was just such a like.
Yeah, I think, it is amazing what you can do when you really understand your audience. And I think that's the lesson there. And then putting it together with scarcity and timing, I think that there's real power in that. So that would be my only take.
And of course, if you don't know, my husband is military. We live near military bases. The military spouse pages are entertainment. They were going nuts. People are like, how many are left? I was like, oh, good Lord, guys. Anyways, so on the maybe not so kind of learn from this side of it, Dunkin' and Starbucks, Nurses Week just happened last week. So it all like comes together. It's Nurses Week. It's Mother's Day. It's all the things. And Starbucks and Dunkin', I believe they both did it. They sent out like a mass notification. So if you're part of their like app, they send out notifications whenever they're having specials. And they sent out notifications that if you were a nurse, if you showed your ID, that you would get a free coffee. Which nurses are, I'm sure, a large population because they work these long shifts, like of their people. And so they work these long shifts, they get coffee. So there were a lot of people on TikTok that were like going to Dunkin' to get my free coffee. but it's franchises. And so not all the franchises participated in this, which is the franchises I'm not
Sure.
dissing. However, then people were not thrilled because you just sent out a mass email saying I could have a free coffee. And then when I said, hey, can I have the free coffee that you just promised?
Yeah.
The employees were being rude. There's a video of like a couple of the employees being like, no, we're not doing that. And so then it looks really bad. And a lot of nurses were like, screw that. I'm taking a break from Dunkin' and Starbucks. So
that's interesting.
It's just like,
yeah, one of the rules of that I've learned over years of being in marketing, and I've said this many times, is nothing kills a bad product like good marketing. I like Dunkin', Starbucks is fine. This isn't but if you create a great campaign and drive them to poor service, man, that does more harm than good for your brand. And I think it is tough, I'm sure. Like,
yeah,
yeah, when with managing franchises, but it's like running those ads would be tough because it's like, okay, I'm sending it to everybody, but it's not available in every market. Whew.
Well, and I don't think they had
it's
it.
Tough for
like
corporate.
Sometimes you can check the app to see if they're going to do it, and I don't think they had that, so you didn't know if your location was going to do it, and so then you ended up getting a coffee you didn't want. So, anyways, I say all this to say, consider your target market. Who are you going for? And if you do it right and you target the moms on Mother's Day,
that was pretty
you're
good.
Probably doing all right. But if you're targeting nurses and then don't give them what you said, those are sleep deprived people that are not going to be thrilled.
Well, yeah. And I'd say, again, not for nurses, but just, hey, you tell any of your audience, hey, we've got this special thing just for you. And then no soup for you, right? Like, it doesn't.
Well, I used the reference. I told Skylar, I was like, yeah, if you tell me that if I go to Petco and I have a tortoise, then I get a discount, and then I come to Petco with my tortoise and I don't get a discount, we'd be like, oh, then why did I come to Petco today?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that. It's just like, why?
Yeah. You've made a positive brand interaction into a negative brand interaction.
Yeah. And so just keep that in mind when you're doing your promotions. That's really where I was getting with that whole thing.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. And hey, we're teaching people stuff. So I like that. Okay. So next topic is actually one that I brought up. So I'll kind of lead the way on this. I listen to, this is just a little bit off topic, but the Morning Brew is an email I get every morning that kind of keeps me up to date on the latest headlines. I have checked out on listening or watching TV news in any format. It's just too sensational. It's too negative. It's too polarized. This is a place I get it, and I feel like I'm connected. So this is where I got this as my source. But it's really interesting because it says that a recent poll shows remote employees are engaged but deeply unhappy. And we've had conversations about the whole work from home thing. And so I really wanted your take on this. So just for those listening to this, I'm going to go through a couple statistics here, but it said it's Gallup State of Global Workplace. People who work from their couch have 31% have higher levels of engagement. So that's real. Defined as enthusiasm for their work part. They're hybrid, more than the hybrid, which is 23%, or fully in office, which is 19%. So they're higher levels of engagement. However, on the flip side, they're also more likely, 45%, to report stress due to negative emotions like anger, sadness, and loneliness than on-site workers, which is 38%. And several reasons, including no camaraderie, no boundaries, and some tech issues, which I thought was weird. Because trust me, if you work from home and you have tech issues, I have tech issues too. But you know what I mean? Like,
I hear you, but in the same token, I just missed half of what you said because my Wi-Fi decided to just stop working in the middle of that. So in the same token, my brain's like, yeah, I kind of get that. It's a little frustrating some days.
Yeah.
So
fair. So the no camaraderie, no boundaries, I thought that those are true. And I thought really interesting. That being said, work from home is still a big draw, right? People still want the ability to work from home. So I sort of wanted your take on this as someone who does work from home. I'm sitting in my office at Hasseman Marketing. And I have always said, but I'll say it just for the audience, I love the ability to work from home. I don't want to have to work from home. That's my take on it. But I wanted your take on this. I mean, do you buy this? Do you experience this? What's your take?
I think it's interesting. And again, I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of people whenever I talk about this. I get asked a lot about working from home and stuff. And I'm always like, I'm one person. just because
Right. Of
I
course.
like it doesn't mean you like it. Like it's you got to figure it out and decide it for yourself. However, the things that I've noticed, because I've done both. I've now worked in our office. I did that for 6 months, and I've now worked from home. The nice thing about being in office versus being at home, obviously, it's easier to set boundaries. Because if I left my computer at the office, I'm not working at 5:30 at night.
Right.
Like, however, and also like having the drive home from the office was weirdly like a
Totally.
like take
Yeah.
it off, whereas I don't have that when I walk out to the kitchen. So I do think that that is definitely like, I don't want to minimize, it's part of the reason I'm a little bit excited to move into our next home. I have a whole room that is just an office and not a guest room or a library or a storage area.
Yeah. Sure.
But
having a space, yeah.
I think it's also just a matter of like, I feel like you have to figure it out if you like it or not. It's funny because once I get into my groove, like I'm currently in a fit where I'm like, oh, I do not want to work in the office. I'm so easily distracted on date. Like we've had the week that we've had. I would have just been running the inside projects. I would have gotten no emails responded to. I would have gotten nothing done. And instead I've been able to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So it just, I could see how people get lonely. I could see how people struggle with it. Thankfully, I've gotten a nice setup where I get to talk to people a good amount. I think that's a large part of it is my sister and I call a lot throughout the day because we're both home all day long. It's a nice, it breaks it up a little bit. It feels like you have a human to talk to here and there, but
yeah, I think it's interesting because the dichotomy of people are saying they're more engaged, but they're lonelier. And I think that the reality of it is, and I think this is a bigger conversation really than work from home is sort of my take. Because I think part of this is also social media and we're not getting together face to face with other people. I think you do that with friends locally. You get together and physically get in.
I didn't. I'm getting better. That's important to note.
Yeah, but I think that's really valuable, and I think that we have all of these tools for connection, but we feel less connected. I don't think I'm saying anything groundbreaking there, but I think it is also work from home, right? Like, because if you work from home and you never leave and then all you do is social media, which means you don't go out and see friends, man, we're not supposed to do life alone. I just am convinced of that. And the studies are over and over and over and over showing this out of COVID. There's so many good things. The idea that we can do what we're doing right here with the technology we have, amazing. But it can't completely replace actual connection. And I think that the reality of it is those conversations around the water cooler, or the, as our buddy Bill Petrie will say sometimes, the accidental collisions that happen when you're like, those don't happen as much with the work from home.
No, you have to plan
and I do,
for it.
yeah. And you can plan for it to a degree, but you can't plan for it when it's accidental. Right. That's the point of an accident.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you're planning it rather than it being accidental. Yeah. That's what I mean by that.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I think, I don't know that we're hybrid per se, but we do have in-person meetings and we do get together and, you know, we're a pretty social group. So we actually get on calls every day and interact and whatever.
Yeah.
But man, I could see where it would be lonely, and I would not like it. I can say that for sure. So
I think it's one of those things too, if you have employees that work from home, or truthfully, like, this is going to sound sappy, if you have friends that work from home, all jokes aside, we talked about mental health last week. Check in on your people, because I do have a friend that lives down the road that I went and babysat her kids last night, and that was a really good break to get me out of the house, truthfully. Like, I have that, and I've set that up for myself. But when I first started working from home, we've talked about this, I really struggled. I wasn't taking a break. I wasn't walking away. I've gotten better at that, and it's a thing that when you get into an accidental interaction in the office, you don't feel guilty about taking that break because you're having a conversation that still feels like work. Not feels like work, but like, you don't, like, if I come up and just start chatting with you, I'm talking to my boss. I'm talking to my coworker. But if I go call a friend in the middle of the workday, I'm like, oh, well, I probably shouldn't call a friend. Like, that's probably not great. And so it's just like almost like you almost feel guilty taking those breaks, whereas in the office, it's not a guilt thing. It's what you do in the office. Like, you just naturally take breaks.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny because I think that's the concern from the employer, right? So you put my hat on and you go, well, but my fear is that you won't be doing any work and all you'll be doing is calling your friends.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way, but I know that that's a concern, right? We've had
concern.
these conversations. And I think that has to do with who you hire and what their output is. And there's things you can measure. But yeah, the idea that you might be lonely, it does not surprise me. And I think we have to monitor it. I think we have to be paying attention to it as a culture, right? Like, so anyway.
It's actually one of the things I've challenged myself when I get to Georgia is to, number one, make friends outside of my husband. That's not my strong suit. Because when you don't have to, it's really easy not to. True. Like, I don't really, like, if I go to a gym, I keep my head down. I don't do much. I don't go to an office where I'm forced to make work friends. I don't have to make the connections that you kind of naturally make a lot of times. And so my challenge for myself when I get to Georgia is to find a friend, especially if I can find one that works from home, because then we can meet up and go work in a coffee shop together some days, or meet up and or she can come work with me, or I can go find something to keep it interesting. So that's kind of one of my challenges to myself. So see if it happens.
That's good. I actually think that's a great idea. And because I think school forced friendships on us, and then we didn't develop the skills to make friendships as adults.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's especially like as someone who moves all the time, it's intimidating. It's the thing that I'm like most like, well, we're moving to Georgia and we know nobody right there. Well, I'm going to meet some people. Because I'm going to lose it if not. So
yeah, that's great.
So anyways, next thing.
Product.
I'm really excited about this week's product. This one got to my house yesterday. I'm going to show you a ginormous product that is a larger version of this product, but I will explain. I think this is the best thing I've ever seen. I got sent a ginormous chapstick. I talk about chapstick. Oh, whatever. Lip balm. That's how I feel about that. Yeah. Anyways, I got sent a big thing of lip balm. So our friends at Mixie HPG sent me this ginormous container, and it contains 3 of each of their flavors. So this is one of their lip balms that they do. It's completely eco-friendly. Less than $2 if you go with the mini size. It's just over $2 if you go with the full size of these. So these are like a great substitute for pens. But they talk a lot about your signature flavor. So it's like find your company's signature flavor. And I think this is interesting because I don't know if you remember this, but when I was an esthetician, I did some chapsticks, some lip balms at one point, and they were tangerine, and everyone loved them. And then I got cherry at one point, and everyone, like literally my clients were mad. They were like, no, get back the other one. Whereas what happened to the tangerine one? What happened? Yeah. So tangerine was my I didn't even mean for that to happen. It was an accident. However, I have now put all of these flavors on my lips today. I literally wiped them all off and put a new layer on, so my lips were probably going to be shot by the end of the day. However, they have a ton of different flavors. I can't decide because they also all have, currently it's peach today, but that might change. They've all got little like words on it. So the peach says cheerful, confident, magnetic.
All right, I like that.
There's excited, bold, timeless. There's so many. So there's cherry, peach, birthday cake, peppermint, watermelon, pina colada, tropical punch, vanilla, candy bar, vanilla mint.
That's pretty awesome. And
they're eco-friendly. And you don't get them in a giant container because you're not as cool as me, but that's okay.
It's affordable also, right? Yeah. Yeah. I want to give credit. Too. What's that?
100-piece minimum, so it's not a crazy high minimum.
Yeah, I want to give credit. Doug Langer is who I heard this. He was in the industry for many years. He just recently retired, but he talked about the idea that 40% of the population is addicted to lip balm, which means it's very personal. They're going to value it very highly. They're going to use it on an everyday basis, and so that's a great. I love that one. That's a good product.
Yeah, I was excited about getting my giant. I opened the box and went, oh. Yeah. So, first of all, shout out to them for the fun packaging.
Yeah, that is really cool. All right, cool. And speaking of shout outs, we always finish with a shout out. And so if you're new around here, we do shout outs each week. We try to just call out people who are either doing good, impacting the community, impacting the region, doing good work. If you have anybody that you'd like us to shout out, please let us know. We are constantly looking to push good out into the world. marketing joy, if you will. Anyway, this week is a repeat offender. But this past week, they opened their doors for the first time. So it's the Coshocton Collaborative. Tiffany and Hannah and Ashley are the team there. They've got a board. They did their ribbon cutting on Thursday of last week, opened the doors. Now people can get memberships. It's a WeWork space. It's a maker space. It's an office space. It is, I think it was $6.2 million of investment, literally a block up the street. I think that's going to have such a lasting impact on our community. Selfishly, we own a building right across the street from them, which is an apartment building, Airbnb kind of thing. And I believe it's going to immediately increase the value of our property and enhance the experience of the people who stay with us, because then they can go over there and work. I'm over the moon excited about it. And I'm really thankful for the people that wouldn't take no for an answer on that project, because there was a million times that it could have gone sideways. And so kudos, shout out, congratulations. Awesome job.
And as someone who saw it, and I haven't, a lot of the shout outs that you do, I don't always get to see the new building. But I just got to see it because I was just there visiting Ohio. The thought and energy and like
detail
that went into that building. First of all, it's gorgeous. It's so cute. Nice. They've done such a good job.
Nice.
But just every little detail, like when we got the tour, of course, we got kind of a one-on-one. You got to find out why they did this tile and why they did this countertop and why the things that you wouldn't, like, you just walk in and go, oh, cool, there's a coffee machine. No, there's a coffee machine that does this setting and this setting and this setting, because there's people that don't like this and they've got to have this. And it's just, they've spent so much time on it. So it's a really, really, I'm excited to use it when I come.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, our office, as I just said, is like a block or two away. I mean, it's a block or two, not New York City blocks, Coshocton blocks. It's very
close.
Yeah, very close. So I have a nice size office space that I can work in, and I have total FOMO. Like, I want to go down there and work. There's such a great vibe. It's really cool. So it's totally worthy of a repeat shout out. I promise I won't do that all the time, but because they did the ribbon cutting and they had speakers from all over the state, it was just awesome. So Tiffany, Hannah, Ashley, all the board members, thank you for the work you did. So, okay. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Better Merch, Better Marketing. Jade, I always appreciate you taking the time. If you have any questions for us, again, the podcast is brought to you by Hasseman Marketing. Go to hassemanmarketing.com and you can learn more about us. I would highly recommend, if you are in the merch and marketing space for your company, head over there, get the Target Marketing Playbook. It's a free resource for you to check out and get essentially the framework for the book, Hit the Target, for free. So, Jade, appreciate you taking the time.
Love you. Bye.
Now it's time to get back to work.